at a job site that we just finished the project on. Jeremy Wiggins from One Stop Services was the contractor here and did an amazing job on the pavers. This job was primarily pavers, and I think a lot of people can relate to this project. It's kind of small, it's not a gigantic project, but that's okay too, and it turned out beautifully. I wanted to show you all the little details so that maybe it's something you can replicate at your own house or get some ideas for your own space. I'm standing right here next to the client's side door. We put in rounded steps. This used to be a several step stair case with a railing around it, and it just seemed really clunky and unnecessary to have all of that going on in the space. So we simplified it. It's a couple steps down with rounded pavers. It's pretty, but without being this huge focal point on the side of their house, because that's not where we wanted to focus. Instead, we did a lot of the focal in the back, which I'm going to take you to now. You can see the walkway where we are is two different types of pavers. You've got the center, which they call the field, and that's one type of paver. And then on the sides, there's this gray paver that just makes it look a little different. Now, I do want to note, we also did landscape. We did landscape lighting. We're going to talk about that in a different video. So with every project, we ended up having to make a few compromises, which was fine because I love the way it turned out. You just always have to be ready for something to change in the middle of a project or for something to happen that you weren't quite expecting. And that definitely happened as far as the paver availability on this project. So as you guys can see here, we have this really beautiful fire pit. Now, the homeowners had a few requests. One of them was this fire pit. One of them was, you can see behind me, there's this cabana, and they wanted to keep the cabana. That was non-negotiable. They wanted to keep that. And so we had to incorporate all of these elements to make sure, of course, that they were in there for the homeowner. Now, originally, this was a at-level deck. It was all wood. There was a tree that was growing up in the middle here, and we had that cut down. We had all of the low deck removed, which if you live in the South, you know that a low deck is like rot city. It rots really quickly, and so we wanted to go back with something more permanent, and that's how we came up with the idea of the paver, and not of concrete. This client lives in Midtown, which is generally a lot of drainage issues, so we wanted to make sure we were doing something that may have a little bit of permeability and not going to be 100% runoff happening, because Midtown has so many runoff issues to start with. So I wanted to show you a few of the details too that we put into this paver patio. You can see here we have this fire pit here, and then we basically created that as the focal point and made the pavers around it. So we have this big radius, I believe it's 16 feet if I'm remembering correctly, that goes around here, and you can see that the paver pattern is different. It's just angled slightly differently than the rest of the patio, with that same border paver that we used up the sidewalk, and we used it around. So that kind of delineates what this fire pit area looks like. And I really like that it's subtle, it's a small area, but it's a subtle change that really gives focus to this and kind of draws you into the space. Now let's walk over here to the cabana. Now you're gonna see landscaping back here too. We've got some crepe myrtles that are eventually gonna get big and be really pretty and kind of shade out this space. We've got landscape lighting, we've got a few little small plantings, and then you guys can see over here we've got seasonal color, just to make a little pretty in the space. Of course, the client's also later gonna add containers with color and things like that to really brighten up the space, but I wanted a dedicated area designed into the planting plan so that there would be no choice. You had to have that seasonal color in there. Now over here to the cabana, Nate's going to swing around and show you guys maybe some B-roll too of how we incorporated from the house and curved the patio around and into this cabana area so that it looks like it's always been here. That's always our goal, is to make the spaces that we create not look like an add-on, to make them look like they've been here a really long time and that they were just part of this, and that this cabana wasn't an add-on. When we came here, it was this wood deck, and the cabana had kind of been built off to the side. So how do you incorporate all these elements that already exist with something that's going to be new? So that's always our goal, and that's what we did here. And I really love how it turned out. I think that having to compromise on the pavers ended up being a really great option instead. It would have looked good the other way, but it looked good this way too. So anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments about this design, you're welcome to comment below, and I'll answer every question you've got.